The cleaning lady thought she was alone. The billionaire saw everything, and what she did changed his life. Before we start the story, leave in the comments, which city are you watching from? And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story, everyone. $80,000 spread across the dresser. $100 bills, green, perfectly visible. And Lucas Sterling is standing behind his own bedroom door, watching through the crack, waiting for the inevitable. It's not carelessness. It's a trap. In 10 years of running this test, 47 employees have failed. Secretaries, drivers, cooks, gardeners, all of them. Some lasted a week, others 2 hours. But in the end, the money always disappeared and Lucas was always right. People are selfish. People lie. People disappoint. He learned that the hard way, and today is the day to test the new cleaning lady, a woman named Chloe Rise, 29 years old, referred by a cleaning agency in Miami Beach. Lucas already knows how it's going to end. He already knows that tomorrow he'll be calling the agency asking for another replacement. But then, the penthouse door opens, and Lucas Sterling had no idea that the next 5 minutes were about to turn his world upside down. Chloe Rise walked into the penthouse carrying a cleaning bucket in one hand and a professional window squeegee in the other. Her uniform was simple, her sneakers were worn, but she walked with the posture of someone about to conquer a castle. And the first thing she did, the very first thing, was trip on the $40,000 Persian rug decorating the entrance. The bucket flew. The water formed an arc in the air, almost in slow motion, as if the universe wanted Chloe to appreciate every millisecond of her own disaster. She made an arm movement that looked like a chicken fighting a ceiling fan, miraculously balanced on one foot, spun her body in a way that defied the laws of physics, and landed on her feet like an Olympic gymnast who had just executed a never-before-seen move. The bucket, by some miracle, landed upright. The water only splashed a tiny bit on the rug. Chloe looked at the floor, looked at the ceiling, looked at the squeegee in her hand, and whispered, completely serious, "Ricardo, did you see that? Did you see? That was pure talent. Pure. I should be in the Olympics. Category, extreme cleaning lady." Ricardo obviously didn't respond, because Ricardo was a window squeegee, but Chloe continued anyway, lowering her voice as if sharing a state secret. "Don't tell anyone, Ricardo. What happens in Miami Beach stays in Miami Beach. That's our deal. I keep your secrets, you keep mine. Partnership." She pulled a cloth from her uniform pocket and crouched down to dry the microscopic water stains on the rug, treating each movement as if she were performing high-precision surgery. "Easy. Nobody saw. Nobody will know. We're professional, Ricardo. Professional. Pretend this never happened. Collective amnesia. You didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. The rug didn't see anything." Lucas watched everything through the office camera system, forgetting about the coffee going cold in his hand. "She's talking to the squeegee." He tilted his head to the side, like a scientist observing an unknown species. She named the squeegee Ricardo. The squeegee's name is Ricardo. He took a sip of coffee without taking his eyes off the screen. She's having an emotional partnership with a cleaning tool. And apparently, the cleaning tool has voting rights and decisions. This was definitely new. Chloe finished cleaning the crime scene, stood up satisfied, and made a small victory gesture with her fist. "Very good, team. Crisis number 1 avoided. Now let's work, Ricardo. This penthouse isn't going to clean itself, and given the size of this place, we're going to need backup. Where's the rest of the army?" "Oh right, it's just the 2 of us. As always, you and me against the world." She turned to admire the space and her jaw dropped. The living room was the size of her entire apartment. No, wait. Her apartment, plus the neighbor's apartment, plus the hallway, plus the stairs, plus probably the parking lot. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed Miami's blue ocean stretching to the horizon like an absurdly expensive postcard. Furniture that looked like it came from a parallel dimension where everything was perfect and nobody spilled coffee on the couch. A kitchen with a marble countertop so white and shiny that Chloe could see her own startled reflection staring back at her. "Ricardo," she whispered, her voice coming out strangled. "Ricardo, where did we end up? This isn't an apartment. It's a... Ricardo, this is Narnia. We went through the wardrobe and ended up in Narnia, except instead of a lion, it was a billionaire." She took 3 steps into the living room and stopped, afraid of contaminating the environment with her ordinary person presence. Okay, breathe, Chloe. You can do this. You're a professional. You clean things. You clean things very well. These things here are just a little more expensive than usual. She looked at a lamp that seemed to cost more than her annual salary. A little. Just a little. Like, if I break anything here, I'll have to work about 300 years to pay for it. No vacation, no holidays, no Sundays, and I'll still owe someone's great-grandchild. She advanced a bit more, her wide eyes making an inventory of every potentially destructible item in her path, and then she saw it. The vase. The most beautiful, most delicate, most obviously expensive crystal vase she had ever seen in her life. It was sitting there in the center of a glass table, shining under the sunlight as if begging to be bumped. Chloe stopped 10 feet away. No, she said out loud. No. Ricardo, do you see that vase? Do you see it? That vase is my enemy. That vase wants to destroy me. I can feel it. It's sitting there, looking at me, waiting for me to walk by so it can jump off the table and break itself just to blame me. She stepped to the side, maintaining maximum distance from the object. We're not going near it, Ricardo, not even looking in its direction. Pretend it doesn't exist. The vase doesn't exist. There's no vase. It's just a collective hallucination. She made such a wide detour around the table that she practically touched the opposite wall, her eyes fixed on the vase as if it were a bomb about to explode. Great. Danger avoided. Vase defeated. We're smarter than the decorations, Ricardo. Much smarter. The work began. Chloe cleaned the living room with the care of someone building a house of cards, whispering to Ricardo about the mysteries of the universe, such as, why did billionaires need 3 bathrooms if they only had 1 backside? And how was it possible for a refrigerator to be bigger than her bedroom? And did rich people also get sad, or did their bank account work like a vaccine against bad moods? Do you think he knows, Ricardo? Do you think the owner of this penthouse has ever turned on a vacuum cleaner in his life? Ever held a broom? Ever washed a dish? She shook her head, philosophical. I don't think so. For him, a broom must be like a unicorn, something magical that he heard about in legends but never saw in person. Tell me the broom story again, Grandma. Once upon a time in a faraway kingdom, there was a magical object that ordinary people used to clean the floor. Wow, how fantastic, Grandma. She laughed alone at her own joke. Ricardo, I'm so funny. You're lucky to have me as your partner. She went up the stairs to the 2nd floor, still philosophizing. Imagine life, Ricardo, waking up in a penthouse like this, opening your eyes and seeing the ocean, drinking coffee from a porcelain cup imported from France, never worrying if you'll have money for the bus. It must be really hard being rich, really tough, really complicated choosing which of the 7 cars to use to go to the bakery for bread. Poor things. Poor billionaires. We should start a fundraiser. Lucas had moved to the 2nd floor hallway. He was positioned behind the half-open door of the master bedroom, with direct view of the dresser. The $80,000 waited, patient as always. Lucas waited, skeptical as always. Let's see how long this one takes to show who she really is. His fists clenched when he heard her footsteps approaching down the hallway, accompanied by an animated conversation about whether billionaires knew how to make instant noodles, or if they had a specific employee just for that. Another one who's going to fail, he thought, his jaw clenched. Another one who's going to prove I'm right, that everyone has a price, that honesty is just a pretty word people use until a better offer comes along. Chloe pushed the bedroom door open and walked in, still in the middle of a sentence. So, Ricardo, do you think he has a chef just to make? She stopped talking, stopped walking, stopped breathing. The whole world seemed to freeze. Because there, on top of the dark wooden dresser, was more money than Chloe Rise had ever seen together in her entire life. $100 bills. Many $100 bills. Spread out with obscene casualness, as if they were candy wrappers, as if they were nothing, as if $80,000 was pocket change. Don't look, Chloe told herself. It's none of your business. You're a professional. You don't see anything. You don't know anything. You're blind, deaf, mute. You're a statue that cleans things. She looked. Obviously she looked. The squeegee slipped from her hand and fell to the floor with a dull sound that seemed like thunder in the silence of the room. "Ricardo!" She crouched down in panic to pick it up. "Sorry, I dropped you. I didn't mean to. It's just—" "Ricardo. Ricardo, are you seeing this? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Tell me I'm having a hallucination. Tell me this is a mirage. Tell me the Miami sun fried my brain and now I'm seeing things." Ricardo didn't say anything because Ricardo was a squeegee, but if he could talk, he would probably say something like, "That really is a lot of money," or "Don't do anything foolish," or "For goodness sake, Chloe, keep it together." Chloe approached the dresser slowly, as if the money could attack at any moment. Her heart was beating so hard she could hear it in her ears. Her hands started to shake. Her mouth went dry. "This is more than I make in years," her mind calculated automatically. "Years, Ricardo. This is the apartment. It's Maya's college. It's Mom's medical bills that I'm still paying. This is everything." A trembling hand extended toward the bills. Behind the door, Lucas closed his eyes. Here we go. The same script as always. The initial hesitation, the mental rationalization, the internal justification, the hand extending, the fingers touching the bills, the moment when the person decided they needed that money more than the owner, that nobody would notice, that it was just a little bit, that she deserved it. 47 times he had watched this scene. 47 times he had been proven right. Everyone has a price. But Chloe didn't take the money. She organized it. Lucas opened his eyes. What is she doing? Chloe, with her hands still shaking, began gathering the scattered bills, one by one, carefully, reverently, as if she were touching something sacred. She sorted them by orientation, all the bills facing the same way, the president's faces looking in the same direction. She aligned the edges with millimetric precision and counted, quietly, focused. 7,800. 7,900. 8,000. What is she doing? Lucas took an involuntary step forward, forgetting to hide. Nobody has ever done this. Nobody. 79,900. 80,000. Exactly $80,000. Chloe finished counting, nodded satisfied with the number, and then did something even more unexpected. She took a pen from her uniform pocket, an old chewed-up pen that probably cost less than $1, tore a piece of paper from a worn notebook she carried in her other pocket, and wrote with careful handwriting, the handwriting of someone who learned penmanship in school and was still proud of it. $80,000 found on the dresser in the master bedroom. Organized and counted. Chloe Reyes. She placed the paper on top of the perfect stack of bills. And then she did something that Lucas Sterling had never, in 10 years of tests, in 47 employees, in thousands of hours waiting to be disappointed, seen any human being do. Chloe closed her eyes. She brought her hands together in front of her chest, fingers tightly interlaced, and whispered, with a voice so sincere it made something inside Lucas ache. "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for this job. I know you know how much I need it. You know about the bills, about Maya, about everything. But I'm not going to take what isn't mine. Never. Help me to always do the right thing. Even when nobody is watching. Even when it would be so easy to do the wrong thing. Thank you for making me strong enough to choose right." Lucas couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process what was happening. 10 years, 47 people, and none, not one, had done this. None had organized the money. None had left a note. None had prayed, thanking God for having an honest job while looking at a fortune that could solve all their problems. Something inside Lucas cracked. It didn't break. It cracked. Like thin ice at the beginning of spring. A small fissure that promised to spread. Something he had convinced himself no longer existed. Something he had buried under years of disappointment and cynicism and distrust. Began, very slowly, to wake up. Chloe opened her eyes, lovingly picked Ricardo up from the floor, wiped imaginary dust off his handle, and murmured, "Let's go, Ricardo. This room is already clean, and we don't mess with what isn't ours. Mom taught us better than that. Now let's find a bathroom to clean before I start crying like a fool, because you know I get emotional when I talk about Mom." She turned to leave, and came face to face with a wall. A wall that was 6'1", broad shoulders, piercing blue eyes, a perfectly tailored Italian suit, and an expression that was completely, absolutely, totally unreadable. Chloe's scream came out at a frequency that probably only dogs could hear. She backed up so fast that her feet got tangled with each other. Her balance left without saying goodbye. Her arms spun like windmills trying to grab the air. Her whole body went backward toward the bucket she had strategically left at the door, like a trap for herself, because apparently the universe thought she hadn't embarrassed herself enough that day. The bucket tipped over. The water flew, and Lucas Sterling's $3,000 Italian shoes, handmade in Florence by a fifth-generation craftsman who probably had an important first and last name, were completely, totally, irreversibly soaked. The silence that followed was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Chloe looked at the wet shoes, looked at the puddle of dirty water spreading on the hardwood floor, looked at the man's face, which remained expressionless, which was somehow much worse than if he were screaming. Looked at Ricardo, who, being a squeegee, also offered no emotional support, and whispered, in the tone of someone narrating the final chapter of their own career, "Ricardo, we did it. We broke the record, fired on the first day, before lunch, complete with destruction of luxury property. Mom would be so proud." Lucas remained silent. Chloe swallowed hard, her face turning a red that tragically matched her blue uniform. "Sir, okay, I can explain. No, I can't explain because there's no logical explanation. I soaked your shoe, which clearly costs more than every shoe I've ever owned in my life, combined, multiplied by 10, with interest. So I'm gonna leave now, immediately, this instant. I'll get my things, which are actually just Ricardo and this chewed-up pen, and I'll disappear forever. You'll never see me again. I'll move to another city, another state, maybe another country. I heard Alaska is nice this time of year. It's very far from here. Very far from Italian shoes. So it was a pleasure. Sorry about the shoe, sorry about the rug, sorry for existing in the same space as your expensive things. And Chloe." His voice was deep, calm, completely different from what she expected from someone who had just had designer footwear ruined by bucket water. She stopped babbling. Her name and his voice sounded strange. Real. As if suddenly she were a person and not just a walking disaster that had invaded the penthouse. "Yes, sir? You're not fired." Chloe blinked again, tilted her head to the side in confusion. "I'm not?" Lucas took a step forward. His shoes made an embarrassingly wet sound on the floor, but he didn't seem to notice, or if he noticed, he didn't seem to care. "Actually," he said, and there was something in his eyes now, something that wasn't there before. Something that seemed cracked and hopeful and confused and cautious all at the same time. "You just got promoted." Chloe opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, processed the information, failed to process the information, tried again, failed again, looked at Ricardo for help. Ricardo continued being a squeegee, looked back at Lucas, who remained standing there with his soaked shoes and his impossible-to-read expression and his impossible-to-understand sentence. "Promoted?" she repeated, the word coming out as if it were in another language. "Promoted to what? I literally just destroyed your shoes, which cost more than my rent. 3 months of rent, maybe 6. I don't know how much billionaire shoes cost, but definitely more than I can afford. How is this a promotion? Is this like when people say you're fired, but in a polite way? Is that it? Is it a euphemism? Promoted to the street?" Lucas felt something strange happen to the corner of his mouth, something that hadn't happened in a long time, something he had forgotten he knew how to do. Almost a smile. "It's not a euphemism," he said, his voice still deep but with a different note now. "You passed." "Passed? Passed what? Sir, I'm not understanding anything. Ricardo doesn't understand either. We're very confused here." Lucas looked at the squeegee in her hand, at the organized pile of money on the dresser, at the note with careful handwriting, at this strange woman who talked to cleaning tools and prayed in billionaires' bedrooms and had just destroyed his favorite shoes. "That," he said, taking another wet step toward her, "we're going to figure out together." Chloe stood still, her brain still trying to process, Ricardo still firmly held in her hand, his shoes still making water sounds with every step. And while she tried to formulate a response that made some sense, while Lucas Sterling observed her with eyes that had seen a lot but had never seen anything like her, neither of them had any idea about the hurricane that was about to arrive. Neither of them knew that. In less than 48 hours, a blonde in high heels with a venomous smile would walk through that same door. And that from that moment on, nothing, absolutely nothing, would be the same. Personal assistant. Chloe repeated the words as if they were in another language. Maybe they were. Maybe billionaires spoke their own dialect that she hadn't learned yet. Personal assistant, Lucas confirmed, crossing his arms. His shoes still made that embarrassingly wet sound, but he remained standing there, as if having $3,000 shoes soaked was an everyday event in his life. Of the penthouse? Of the penthouse. Me, personal assistant of your multi-million-dollar penthouse. Me, who just destroyed your shoes. Exactly. Chloe looked at Ricardo, completely useless in moments of existential crisis. Mr. Sterling, with all due respect, this seems like a prank. One of those TV show ones. Is there a hidden camera somewhere? Is a host going to jump out screaming "Gotcha" any moment? Because I need to mentally prepare. I cry easily when I'm humiliated on national television. The corner of Lucas's mouth made that strange movement again. That almost smile that seemed to hurt him. It's not a prank, it's a job offer. Tripled salary, full benefits. You start tomorrow. Chloe's brain tried to process tripled salary and almost collapsed. Tripled? Tripled. Like 3 times more? That's generally what tripled means, yes. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. She looked like a fish trying to breathe out of water. Why? The question came out before she could stop it. Why me? I literally trip over things. I talk to cleaning tools. I just turned your Italian shoes into an aquarium. These aren't qualities of a personal assistant. These are qualities of a walking disaster that should be kept at a safe distance from anything expensive. Lucas took a step forward. His shoes went squelch. He didn't seem to notice. You passed a test that 47 people failed. Test? What test? I didn't study for any test. I didn't even know there was an exam. Ricardo, did you know there was an exam? Ricardo maintained his characteristic silence of an inanimate object. The money, Lucas said simply. The $80,000 on the dresser. The penny dropped, and when it dropped, it made a sound. Wait. Chloe raised her hand as if stopping traffic. That was a test? You left $80,000 lying in the room to see if I would steal it? Yes. And 47 people before me stole it? Yes. 47. Chloe blinked 3 times in a row, trying to absorb the information. That's a lot of money to leave lying around as bait, Mr. Sterling. You know that, right? That's basically using a Ferrari as a mousetrap. It works. It worked 47 times, with 47 different people. Don't you think maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't the people? Maybe it's leaving a fortune lying in the room like it's spare change? Something passed through Lucas's eyes, something too quick for Chloe to identify. Maybe, he said, his voice lower now, but you didn't take it. Of course I didn't take it. It's not mine. Most people don't think like that. Most people don't talk to window squeegees, so clearly I'm not most people. This time Lucas almost really smiled. Almost. 1 more centimeter of lip curvature, and it would have counted as a complete smile. That's exactly why you're hired. 3 days later, Chloe still wasn't sure if she was dreaming. Her new office was a corner of the penthouse with an ocean view. Her new salary was obscene. Her new benefits included health insurance, meal allowance, and apparently unlimited access to the gourmet kitchen, which she had express orders not to use alone after the first day incident. Ricardo, she whispered, organizing a pile of documents she didn't understand. We moved up in life. Literally. We're 40 floors up, and we get paid 3 times more to do this. She looked at the papers. Whenever this is. Her job, she had discovered, basically consisted of making sure the penthouse worked perfectly when Lucas was in it. Coordinating deliveries, organizing household schedules, supervising maintenance, and, apparently, avoiding at all costs the $15,000 Italian coffee machine that personally hated her. The machine was there, in the corner of the kitchen, gleaming threateningly under the recessed lights. Chloe could swear it hummed hostilely whenever she walked by. I'm not going to touch it, Ricardo. I'm not. I learned my lesson. Italian coffee machines are natural enemies of cleaning ladies. It's a law of nature. I'm not going to challenge nature. She walked straight past the kitchen, heading toward Lucas's office to deliver the documents. The door was ajar. Chloe was going to knock like a normal and professional person would, but then she heard his voice, tense, different, and she stopped. Bianca, I already said no. The name hung in the air like a storm cloud. I don't care what happened. I don't care what you want. The answer is no. Silence. No, no. I said no, Bianca. How many languages do you need me to say it in? More silence. Lucas's voice got colder, if that was possible. Don't call again. The phone hit some surface harder than necessary. Chloe should have left. A professional assistant would have left. A person with common sense would have definitely left. But Chloe was Chloe, and Chloe had the subtlety of a rhinoceros in a china shop. She knocked on the door. Lucas raised his head, his face still tense, his eyes still stormy. The documents, she said quickly, raising the pile as proof. The ones you asked for, from the construction company, about the project for. She looked at the cover. Marina? Something about a marina. Boats. Rich people like boats. Makes sense. Lucas stared at her for a long moment, and then, slowly, the storm in his eyes began to calm. Thank you, Chloe. You're welcome, Mr. Sterling. Lucas. What? My name. It's Lucas. You don't need to call me Mr. Sterling. It makes me feel like my father. Oh, Chloe felt her cheeks warm. Okay, Lucas? It's a nice name. I mean, not that names can be ugly. All names are nice. My squeegee's name is Ricardo, and that's also nice. Not that I'm comparing you to a squeegee. You're not a squeegee. You're clearly a person, with a name. A person's name. I'm going to stop talking now. She placed the documents on the desk and turned to leave before she could cause more damage. Chloe. She stopped at the door. Yes? Thank you. For bringing the documents. You're welcome. It's my job. Not just for that. He hesitated. His jaw did that thing where it tensed and relaxed. For not asking about the phone call. It's none of my business. Most people would ask. Most people also don't talk to squeegees. We already established that I'm not most people. This time Lucas smiled. A small smile. Discreet. Almost hidden, but real. And something inside Chloe made a strange noise, like a very soft crack. Like thin ice at the beginning of spring. Ricardo, she whispered later, tidying up the living room while Lucas worked in the office. We have a problem. A very serious problem. She stopped cleaning to look toward the office. The door was closed now, but she could see his silhouette through the frosted glass. Broad shoulders curved over the desk, head resting on his hand. I'm not going to look at him, Ricardo. I'm not. We're professionals. We work here. There's a hierarchy. There's a code of conduct. Lucas stood up, took off his jacket. The fabric of his white shirt stretched over his shoulders in a way that should be illegal. Ricardo, Chloe moaned quietly. I looked, and he wasn't wearing his jacket. That's a crime somewhere. It has to be. It can't possibly be allowed. There should be laws against billionaires taking off jackets when employees are trying to be professional. She forced her eyes back to the bookshelf she was cleaning. Focus, Chloe. You're an adult. You're a professional. You're not going to fall in love with your billionaire boss just because he has nice shoulders and smiled at you once. That's cliché. That's predictable. Lucas came out of the office, walked through the living room, walked past Chloe, and their eyes met for exactly 3 seconds. 3 seconds that lasted an eternity. 3 seconds in which Chloe forgot how to breathe, how to think, how to exist as a functional human being. And then he was gone, heading toward the bedroom, and Chloe stood there, holding a feather duster, with her heart beating so hard it could probably be heard from across the ocean. Ricardo, she said, her voice coming out strangled. We're in so much trouble. So much trouble. Later that night, after Lucas locked himself in the office again for more tense phone calls, Chloe did the only thing she knew how to do when she was emotionally confused. She cleaned. Cleaned the kitchen that was already clean, cleaned the bathrooms that were already clean, cleaned even the corners that nobody ever looked at because they were corners and corners don't matter. And then, in a moment of extreme weakness, she looked at the coffee machine. The machine looked back. Ricardo, I know what you're thinking, and the answer is no, we're not going to try again. Last time was a disaster. Literally a disaster. I was covered in foam. Lucas almost smiled, but in a worried way, not in a nice way. I'm not going to risk it. The machine remained there. Shiny, silent, provocative. Okay, but what if I just press one button? Just one. It doesn't even need to make coffee. Just to see what happens. To understand the machine. Know the enemy. It's military strategy, Ricardo. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Know your enemy. Ricardo didn't respond, because Ricardo had enough common sense not to participate in clearly stupid decisions. Chloe approached the machine, studied the buttons. There were many buttons, too many buttons for a coffee machine. This wasn't a coffee machine, it was the control panel of a spaceship. Who needs this many buttons to make coffee? Normal people used a filter and that was it. I'll just press this one here, this tiny one. It looks harmless. She pressed it. The machine made a noise that started low and kept growing, and growing and growing. Oh no, oh no, 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 no. Ricardo, I made a mistake. I made a very serious mistake. The machine exploded. Not literally exploded, but foam, steam, and something that looked like coffee but also looked like volcanic lava, gushed from everywhere possible, and some places impossible. Chloe screamed. The machine screamed back, or at least made a noise that sounded like a scream. And then Lucas appeared at the kitchen door, hair disheveled, shirt half open, eyes wide, clearly having run from the office when he heard the chaos. And found Chloe, covered in foam, holding Ricardo like a shield. With coffee running down her face like brown tears of shame, the silence lasted approximately 3 centuries. The machine, Chloe finally said, her voice coming out muffled under the phone, attacked me. Again. I swear it's personal. She hates me, Lucas. Your coffee machine hates me. Lucas looked at her, looked at the machine, looked at the chaos of foam and coffee that now decorated half the kitchen, and then did something Chloe had never seen him do. He laughed. A real laugh. Not an almost smile, not a corner of his mouth curving. A real laugh coming from his chest that transformed his face into something completely different, something beautiful, something human. I warned you, she said, trying to maintain her dignity while foam dripped from her ear, that we weren't compatible. Me and Italian machines. It's a fundamental incompatibility. Genetic, maybe. My ancestors probably offended some Italian at some point in history. Lucas was still laughing when he approached her. Still laughing when he grabbed a cloth and started cleaning the counter. Still laughing when his eyes met hers and Chloe felt the whole world stop for a second. You're a disaster, he said. I know. A complete disaster. I know. The worst personal assistant I could have hired. Technically, I was promoted from cleaning lady, so… Chloe, yes? He leaned in to wipe a spot of foam from her shoulder. His fingers brushed the fabric of her uniform. The distance between them shrunk to something dangerous. I like disasters, he said, quietly. And before Chloe could respond, before she could process, before she could do anything other than stand there like a statue covered in coffee, his phone rang. He looked at the screen, and his face changed, froze. All the lightness, all the laughter, all the warmth disappeared as if it had never existed. Bianca, he said, his voice flat. What do you want? Chloe felt a chill down her spine. She didn't know why. She didn't know who this Bianca was. But she knew, with a certainty she couldn't explain, that the storm was just beginning. The elevator went ding at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday that, until that moment, had been perfectly normal. Chloe was organizing Lucas's household schedule when she heard the sound. Nobody was expected, no scheduled deliveries, no visitors on the calendar, and then the door opened. The woman who walked in looked she had stepped out of a fashion magazine. Blonde, tall, legs that never ended. A white dress that probably cost 3 months of Chloe's new salary, and that was after the salary had tripled. She walked through the penthouse as if she owned it, as if every square foot recognized her presence and bowed in respect. Lucas? The voice was honey with venom, sweet on the outside and lethal on the inside. Lucas, dear, I'm here. Chloe stood frozen with the schedule in her hand. This is her, she thought. This is Bianca. Lucas appeared at the office door. His face did something strange. It froze first, then melted into something that looked like discomfort mixed with something older. Something Chloe couldn't name. Bianca. The name came out like a falling stone. What are you doing here? I came to see you, of course. Bianca approached him with the grace of a snake gliding through the grass. It's been so long, 3 years. I missed you. She placed her hand on his arm. Lucas didn't pull away. Chloe felt something turn in her stomach. I said I didn't want to see you. Lucas's voice was flat, but there were cracks at the edges. On the phone, yesterday, I was clear. Oh dear. Bianca laughed. A crystal laugh that matched the dress. You've always been stubborn. It's one of the things I loved most about you. Loved. Past tense. Or was it present? Chloe couldn't decide which was worse. That's when Bianca noticed they weren't alone. Her eyes found Chloe, passed over her, continued to the other side, as if Chloe were part of the furniture. Less interesting than the couch, less relevant than the lamp. "Dear," Bianca said without looking directly at her, "could you bring us some champagne? Lucas and I have a lot to talk about." Anger rose up Chloe's throat like lava. She wasn't invisible. She was a person with a name. A person who had passed the test that 47 others had failed. A person who made Lucas smile. But she was professional. She was an adult. She was going to swallow this and, of course, the voice came out before her brain could veto it. Honey on the outside, blade on the inside. Do you prefer the $500 Dom Perignon or the $800 Cristal that Mr. Sterling keeps for special occasions? Pause. Bianca finally looked at her. Really looked this time. "Oh, he said this isn't one." Chloe smiled. The sweetest and most venomous smile in her arsenal. "A special occasion, I mean, but I can bring the regular champagne if you prefer." The silence that followed could have cut diamonds. Lucas choked, Bianca blinked, and Chloe felt a small, petty satisfaction that probably made her a terrible person, but that, at that moment, was absolutely delicious. "Who are you?" Bianca asked, her eyes narrowing. "Chloe, personal assistant." "Since when does Lucas have a personal assistant?" "Since he promoted me, 3 days ago." "Promoted from what?" "Cleaning lady." Bianca's smile transformed into something predatory. "Oh, a cleaning lady." She said the word as if it were something dirty, something to be avoided, something that shouldn't be in the same room as people like her. "How interesting." "Very interesting," Chloe agreed, still smiling. "Mr. Sterling thought I had special qualities. Something about honesty, integrity, things like that." The air between them crackled. "Bianca," Lucas interrupted, his voice tense. "Let's go to the balcony, talk." "Of course, dear." Bianca turned, discarding Chloe as if she no longer existed. "The champagne can wait." She held Lucas's arm again, this time more possessively. Her fingers had red nails that looked like claws. As they passed Chloe, Bianca whispered something in Lucas's ear. He didn't laugh, but he didn't pull away either. "Ricardo." Chloe was in the supply closet, holding the squeegee against her chest like a bulletproof vest. "Ricardo, I hate her." "No, wait, I don't hate anyone. I can't stand her." "That's different. Hate is too strong. Can't stand is appropriate. It's polite. It's..." She peeked through the crack in the door. On the balcony, Bianca was leaning toward Lucas. Very close. Too close. Laughing at something he said. Touching his arm again. She's touching him again. "Ricardo, how many times does a person need to touch another person during a conversation? Does she have some motor problem? Does she need constant physical support? Is there a medical condition I don't know about that requires contact with billionaires every 30 seconds? Ricardo offered no diagnosis. "I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I'm jealous, but I'm not jealous. I'm not. Jealousy is when you want something someone else has. I don't want Lucas. He's my boss. My boss, Ricardo. There's a hierarchy, there's a code of conduct, there's..." Bianca laughed again, her head thrown back, her blonde hair swaying like a shampoo commercial. "Okay," Chloe admitted, her voice small. "Maybe I'm a little bit jealous. Just a little bit. The size of an ant. A baby ant. Basically non-existent." She went back to the main room, determined to be professional. Bianca and Lucas came in 5 minutes later. "Chloe?" Bianca's voice was sugar over acid. "You're still here. How dedicated." "It's my job." Of course, of course. Employees always so hard-working." She said employees the same way she would have said cockroaches. "Dear, bring me sparkling water, no ice, room temperature, in a crystal glass." You know which one is the crystal glass, don't you? Chloe knew. Chloe also knew she was 3 seconds away from saying something that would get her fired. "Bianca," Lucas interrupted, his voice carrying a warning. "Chloe is my assistant, not your servant." "Oh, I know, dear. I'm just being practical. She's here. I'm thirsty. It's a matter of efficiency." Chloe went to get the water, not because Bianca told her to, but because she needed to get away from her before she did something Ricardo would never forgive her for. In the kitchen, she took 3 deep breaths. "Calm down, Chloe. You're an adult. You're a professional. You're not going to let a stuck-up ex-girlfriend ruin your job. You're going to be polite, kind, mature." She filled the crystal glass, went back to the living room, And it was at exactly that moment that Bianca decided to stand up. The timing was perfect. Too perfect to be a coincidence. Bianca's elbow hit the tray. The glass flew. The water spread. And the crystal shattered on the hardwood floor with a sound that seemed like a heart breaking. "Oh!" Bianca brought her hand to her mouth in exaggerated surprise. "How clumsy. Dear, you should be more careful." The shards sparkled on the floor like silent accusations. Chloe looked at them, looked at Bianca, looked at Lucas, who had an expression she couldn't decipher, and said, with the calm of someone who had been through worse things, "It's okay. Accidents happen." Pause, especially when they're provoked. The silence was deafening. Bianca blinked. Lucas looked from one to the other, and Chloe, because apparently she had decided to destroy her career for good, added, "I'll clean it up. That's what I do. Clean up messes. All kinds." Bianca left an hour later, not before announcing she was back in Miami indefinitely, not before kissing Lucas on the cheek for too long, not before looking at Chloe with that little smile that said, "I'm going to win." But she left, and when the elevator closed, Chloe allowed herself to really breathe for the first time in hours. "Chloe." She turned around. Lucas was standing there, his jacket wrinkled, his hair less perfect than usual, his eyes carrying something heavy. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what?" For the way she treated you. You didn't deserve that." The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. "It's okay." "It's not. I know Bianca. I know how she is. I should have stopped her." "Why didn't you?" The question came out before she could stop it. Lucas was silent for a long moment. "Because part of me is still trying to understand," he finally said. "Why she came back, what she wants, if it's real or if it's another game. And do you want it to be real?" His eyes met hers. "No." The word was simple, direct, but it carried the weight of something much more complicated. "I don't know what I want," he admitted, "but I know it's not her. Not anymore." Chloe nodded. She didn't know what to say, didn't know if she should say anything. "You were incredible," Lucas added. "With her, the champagne thing, the mess thing. Nobody has ever talked to Bianca like that." Maybe someone should have, a long time ago. An almost smile? Maybe. He turned to leave but stopped halfway. "Chloe?" "Yes? Thank you for not judging me, for not asking, for just being here." She wanted to say she hadn't done anything, that she had just been herself, that it was no big deal, but the way he looked at her said it was. "You're welcome, Lucas." He went to the office, and Chloe stood there in the middle of the living room, with crystal shards at her feet and a heart that was beating too fast. "Ricardo," she whispered later, sweeping up the last fragments, "I think we've entered a war, a real war, and I don't know if we're prepared." The penthouse was silent. Outside, the Miami sun was setting over the ocean. And somewhere in the city, Bianca Harrington was planning her next move. The battle had just begun. "Business dinner. Tomorrow. You're coming with me." Chloe dropped the mail organizer she was holding. The letters flew in slow motion, scattering across the floor like panic confetti. "Sorry, what?" Lucas was standing at his office door, casual as if he had just asked her to bring coffee. "Dinner. Business. With me." I heard the words. Separately they make sense. Together they don't. "Why not?" "Because." Chloe looked at herself. Work uniform, worn sneakers, hair tied in a bun that had seen better days. "Lucas, I'm your assistant. Assistants don't go to business dinners." "My assistants do." "Isn't Bianca your assistant?" The name came out before she could stop it. Lucas looked at her for a long moment. "Bianca offered. I refused." Something warm spread through Chloe's chest. Something she wasn't going to name because naming it would mean admitting things. "Why me?" "Because you're authentic. Because you make people laugh. Because investors like real people, not facades." "Lucas, I talked to a window squeegee. That's not authentic. That's evidence I need therapy." "That's exactly why you're perfect." Chloe opened her mouth to argue. Closed it. Opened it again. "I don't have anything to wear. I'll provide it. I don't know millionaire dinner etiquette." "You don't need to. Just be yourself." "I trip over things. Frequently, in public. I'll catch you." The simplicity of the answer caught her off guard. "You'll catch me?" "If you fall, I'll catch you." He said it as if it were obvious. As if catching Chloe were the most natural thing in the world. That's what partners do. Partners. The word hung in the air between them. "Professional," Lucas quickly corrected. "Professional partners." "Right. Professional." Exactly. The silence lasted 3 seconds longer than it should have. So, Chloe finally said, picking up the letters from the floor because she needed to do something with her hands. Tomorrow. Dinner. You and me. Professional partners. Exactly. Okay. Okay? Okay, I'll go. If you're determined to take me, I'll go. But if I spill something on someone important, it's your fault. Lucas almost smiled. I'll take responsibility. The dress arrived at 4 in the afternoon the next day. Chloe opened the box with trembling hands, and then stopped breathing. Ricardo. Her voice came out strangled. Ricardo, are you seeing this? Tell me you're seeing this. Tell me I'm not hallucinating. The dress was blue. Deep navy blue, like the Miami Ocean at night. Fabric that flowed like water. Elegant but not vulgar neckline. Simple. Sophisticated. Completely different from anything Chloe had ever owned in her life. Ricardo, this dress costs more than 6 months of my rent. I know it does. I can feel it. The fabric is whispering obscene numbers in my ear. She touched the material with her fingertips. If I spill something, we run away to Alaska. Remember, the Alaska plan is always on standby. At 7 in the evening, Chloe was ready. The dress fit perfectly. The high heels, also sent by Lucas, were medieval torture instruments disguised as footwear, but they made her legs look endless. Her hair was down, falling in waves that had taken 40 minutes of YouTube tutorials to achieve. And Ricardo was in her handbag. Don't look at me like that, she whispered to the squeegee. I need moral support. You're my moral support. I'm not going to take you out of the bag in public. Probably. Unless I panic, which is likely. Lucas appeared at 7:15, and Chloe understood, at that moment, why there were laws against certain things. He was wearing a tuxedo, a black tuxedo, that highlighted his shoulders and his jawline, and basically everything that was illegal to look at for more than 3 seconds when the person was your boss. You look. Lucas stopped mid-sentence. Ridiculous? I knew it. The dress is too much. I look like a child wearing adult clothes. I should change. Is there still time to change? Stunning. Chloe blinked. Excuse me? You look stunning, Chloe. The air left her lungs. Oh, thank you. You also look presentable. Very presentable. Yes. She wanted to throw herself out the window. Lucas extended his hand. Shall we? The restaurant was the type of Chloe had only seen in movies. Crystal chandeliers, waiters in white gloves, tablecloths that probably needed to be dry cleaned in another country. People who seemed to have been born rich and had never known the experience of choosing between paying the electric bill or buying food. Don't look down, Chloe murmured to herself as she walked arm in arm with Lucas. Don't look at the shoes. One foot in front of the other. Simple. Basic. You can do this. She did it for approximately 20 seconds, and then the heel found an irregularity in the carpet, because apparently Persian rugs were her natural enemies, and the universe decided it was time for another public humiliation. Chloe felt her balance leave. Her body began to topple, her arms spun, and then firm hands caught her by the waist. Lucas. The distance between them disappeared. She could feel his warmth through the tuxedo. She could see every shade of blue in his eyes. She could feel a heart beating. Hers or his, impossible to know. I caught you, he said, his voice low. You did. I said I would. You did. They stood there for a moment that lasted too long, a moment that was not professional at all. The sterling couple. A cheerful voice broke the spell. What a dramatic entrance. Lucas released Chloe so quickly she almost lost her balance again. Mr. Henderson, his voice switched to business mode. This is Chloe Rise, my assistant. Assistant. Mr. Henderson, a gentleman with white hair and an easy smile, winked at Chloe. Of course, you make a lovely couple of assistant and boss. Chloe felt her face catch fire. Lucas didn't correct him. The dinner was surprisingly fun. The investors were 4. Henderson, Martinez, Chen, and Cooper. All serious businessmen with obscene fortunes and an ability to talk about return rates that would make any normal person fall asleep standing up. But Chloe wasn't normal. Chloe was Chloe. So, she said, in the middle of a discussion about market projections that was making her eyes cross, you're telling me you're going to build a $200 million building based on charts? Henderson laughed. It's a bit more complicated than that. But basically it's pretty charts and hope, right? Like when I make a cake following a YouTube recipe. I look at the instructions, it seems simple, and then I end up with something that may or may not be edible. Are you comparing real estate investment to making a cake? I'm comparing trust in processes to trust in results. Everyone trusts the process. Nobody guarantees the result. The cake might not rise, the building might not sell. Silence at the table. And then Martinez started laughing. She's right, you know. We spend so much time analyzing numbers that we forget that in the end it's all educated betting. Very well educated betting, Lucas added, giving Chloe a look that was half admiration, half concern. Educated betting with pretty charts, Chloe agreed, which is basically the same thing I do when I decide which brand of cleaning product to buy. The whole table laughed, and Lucas looked at her in a different way, a way that made her stomach do flips. It was during dessert that Bianca appeared. Chloe sensed it before she saw it. A change in the atmosphere. A sudden chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. Lucas! What a coincidence! The honey with venom voice cut through the restaurant's murmur. Bianca looked stunning. Red dress, diamonds on her neck, impeccable hair. Everything about her screamed, "I'm better than you," in a way that made Chloe want to roll her eyes until she could see her own brain. Bianca. Lucas tensed. "I didn't know you came to this restaurant." "Oh, I go to all the important places." She looked at Chloe. "And I see you brought the assistant. Chloe is my date tonight." How adorable. Bianca's smile could cut glass. Is she managing to use the right silverware? I know it can be confusing for people who aren't used to it. Chloe's blood boiled. "Actually," she said with the sweetest smile in the universe, "I was explaining to these gentlemen how investment analysis is basically the same thing as choosing cleaning products. Both involve trusting promises and hoping for results." The investors laughed. Bianca didn't. "How creative." "Thank you. Creativity is my strong suit. That and being able to remove red wine stains from delicate fabrics. Two surprisingly useful skills in social settings." The silence that followed was delicious. "Well," Bianca finally said, her eyes promising revenge, "I won't interrupt any longer. Lucas dear, call me tomorrow. We have unfinished business." She left in a whirlwind of expensive perfume and resentment. Henderson leaned toward Chloe. "I like you. Thank you. I like myself too, most of the time." The ride home was silent. Lucas drove. Chloe looked out the window. Miami passed by outside, like a blur of lights and possibilities. "You were incredible," Lucas finally said. "I almost fell at the entrance, and recovered perfectly. I compared million-dollar investments to making cake, and the investors loved it. I provoked your ex-girlfriend in front of everyone." Ex-fiancé. The correction was soft, and she deserved it. Chloe turned to look at him. In the dark of the car with Miami's lights passing across his face, Lucas looked different, softer, more real. "Why did you let her go?" The question came out before she could stop it. "If she was that bad, why didn't you end it sooner?" Lucas was silent for a long moment. "Because I thought I was enough." "Enough for what?" "For her. For anyone. I thought that if I gave enough, money, gifts, attention, people would stay, that I could buy loyalty. And she proved me wrong. She took half my fortune and left with a prince who had double." The bitterness in his voice was palpable. "Lucas, I spent 3 years testing people after that, trying to prove that everyone is like that everyone has a price." He glanced at her. "And then you showed up. The air in the car grew heavy. You organized the money, left a note, prayed thanking God for honest work." He shook his head. "Nobody has ever done that. I just did what was right." "Exactly. And it was the first time in 3 years that someone did the right thing when nobody was watching." The car stopped in front of Chloe's building. Lucas turned to her. The distance between them shrank. "You were perfect today," he said, his voice low. "Not because you pretended to be someone you're not, but because you were exactly yourself." "Lucas, Chloe, He leaned in. She leaned in. The space between them was disappearing. His lips were inches from hers. Chloe's heart was beating so hard it was probably audible from outside the car. And then the phone rang. The sound cut through the moment like a knife. Lucas pulled back as if he'd received an electric shock. He looked at the screen, and his face changed. "It's Bianca." The cold returned. "Do you need to answer?" "No." But he hesitated. "Maybe it's better this way." Chloe didn't know what to say. "Good night, Chloe." His voice was professional again. Distant. The moment had passed. "Good night, Lucas." She got out of the car. He drove away. And Chloe stood there, on the sidewalk, with her heart broken into pieces she didn't know how to put back together. "Ricardo," she whispered to her purse, "we almost kissed the boss. And then the ex-fiancé ruined everything. This is basically the definition of cosmic bad luck." On the other side of the city, Bianca Harrington was smiling at her phone. The war had barely begun. The yacht cost $50 million. Chloe knew this because she had organized the party paperwork. She had seen the numbers. She had counted the zeros 3 times because her brain refused to accept that a boat could be worth more than most people would earn in 10 lifetimes. "Ricardo," she whispered to her purse as she walked across the main deck, "there's more money floating on this boat than in the GDP of some countries. If we fall in the water, at least we'll sink in style." The yacht, which Lucas insisted on calling a vessel as if that made a difference, was anchored in Miami Beach's most exclusive marina. Golden lights decorated every surface. Waiters in tuxedos circulated with trays of champagne, and 200 guests from Miami's elite spread across the 3 floors, pretending they weren't comparing themselves to each other. Chloe was there to work. At least, that's what she told herself. Lucas had invited her to help with the organization. In practice, this meant she was dressed up again. Another blue dress, this time shorter, shinier, and circulating among billionaires trying to look like she belonged in that world. She didn't belong. And from the look Bianca gave her the moment she arrived, Bianca knew it too. The ex-fiancée had proclaimed herself the event's hostess. Nobody questioned it. She simply appeared at Lucas's side at the beginning of the evening, holding his arm, and started receiving guests as if the party were hers. "Chloe," the honey with venom voice found her near the bar. "You're still here." "It's my job. Of course, someone needs to make sure the glasses are clean." Bianca smiled. "Old habits." Chloe took a deep breath. "Professional. Mature. The glasses are spotless, but thank you for your concern." Bianca leaned in closer. "You know you don't belong here, don't you? You're a novelty." Lucas gets bored. He always gets bored. "If he got bored of you, Bianca, maybe you should worry less about me." Bianca's eyes narrowed. "Be careful, sweetie. I know exactly who I'm dealing with, and I'm not impressed." Bianca stepped away, but the look she gave promised something bad. The party continued. Lucas circulated among the guests, shaking hands, doing business. Every now and then, his eyes met Chloe's. A quick glance, a shadow of a smile, and then Bianca would appear at his side, and the moment would break. "Ricardo," Chloe murmured to her purse, "I know I shouldn't be jealous. I know it's irrational." "Who are you talking to?" An elegant woman, gray hair, pearl necklace, had appeared beside her. "To myself. It's a habit." The woman smiled. "Don't worry, I talk to myself too. It's a sign of intelligence." She extended her hand. "Margaret Chen, wife of investor Chen." "Chloe Reyes." "Ah, the famous Chloe. My husband won't stop talking about you. The girl who compared investment to making cake? That was me. He thought it was brilliant. Keep it up, dear." Margaret walked away, and then the microphone gave feedback. Bianca was on the improvised stage on the upper deck. Chloe's heart sank. "Good evening, everyone. As some of you know, Lucas and I have a long history." Polite laughter. "But tonight is about the future, and about people who sometimes get confused about where they belong." The air grew heavy. Lucas has always wanted to help the less fortunate. Recently, he hired a new assistant, who used to be a cleaning lady, right here. Murmurs. And apparently she's developed an interesting habit. She talks to cleaning supplies. She has a window squeegee named Ricardo. She asks him for advice. She vents about her life. Uncomfortable laughter. Some people looked at Chloe. "It's almost endearing, isn't it? A poor little thing who can't make real friends, so she invents an imaginary friend, made of rubber." More laughter. Crueler. Chloe couldn't move, couldn't breathe. "But don't worry, Lucas is a busy man. This phase will pass. He always comes back to people at his level." The silence was deafening. Chloe felt the tears wanting to come, the humiliation burning. And then Lucas grabbed the microphone. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. "Thank you, Bianca. Very informative speech. Now let me tell you something you forgot." Bianca's smile wavered. "Chloe Reyes is the most honest person I've ever met." Absolute silence. She passed a test that 47 people failed. A test with $80,000 in cash. 47 people looked at that money and took it. All of them failed. Lucas looked at Chloe. Chloe not only didn't take it, She organized the bills, left a note, and prayed, thanking God for having an honest job. The audience was silent. Does she talk to a squeegee? Yes. Does she trip over things? Frequently. Is she the strangest and most wonderful person I've ever met? Absolutely. Bianca was pale. And if anyone here has a problem with that, with her, with who she is or where she came from, that's your problem, not hers. He stepped off the stage, walked to Chloe, and extended his hand. Come with me. Outside, the air was cooler. The ocean stretched black under the stars. Chloe was trembling. Hey. Lucas held her shoulders. Look at me. His eyes were intense, furious, but not at her. Are you okay? I don't know. What she said doesn't matter. She said it in front of everyone. And I told the truth to the same people, that you're the most honest person I know. A tear escaped. Chloe wiped it away furiously. I'm not one to cry. Lucas pulled her into a hug, tight, protective. Chloe sank into him. They stayed like that for a moment, until she pulled away, sniffling. Sorry, I got your tuxedo wet. It doesn't matter. Thank you for what you said. I only told the truth. Nobody has ever defended me like that. His eyes grew sad. Then the people around you were wrong. Before she could say more, the deck door opened. Bianca appeared. Her face was barely contained fury. Lucas, we need to talk. We have nothing to talk about. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You humiliated an innocent person first. She's a cleaning lady. She's the best person I know. Bianca took a step forward. You're going to regret this, choosing her instead of me. I'm not choosing. I've already chosen. Bianca's eyes widened, and then she lunged toward Chloe. Chloe instinctively stepped back. Her elbow hit a waiter's tray. A glass of champagne flew. In slow motion, perfect and glorious, the golden liquid hit Bianca's $20,000 white dress dead center. The fabric was soaked, stained, ruined. The silence was absolute. Bianca looked at the dress, looked at Chloe, and let out a scream that was probably heard on the other side of Miami. My dress! You ruined my dress! Chloe looked at her own hand, at the fallen tray, at the golden stain spreading across the immaculate white. Oops. Oops. Oops, this cost $20,000. Accidents happen? Chloe's voice came out small. Bianca looked like she was about to have a breakdown. Her perfect hair was messed up, her face red with anger, her dress destroyed. You're going to pay for this, for all of this. Bianca, Lucas's voice cut through the air. Enough. But Lucas, I said enough. Leave. You can't. I can and I am. This is my party, my yacht, and you're not welcome. The silence lasted an eternity. And then, without another word, Bianca spun on her heels and marched away, leaving a trail of champagne and destroyed dignity. Chloe stood there, still in shock. I didn't do it on purpose. I know. The elbow, the tray, I know. But it was very satisfying. Lucas looked at her, and then for the first time that night, he truly smiled. It was, wasn't it? Chloe felt a laugh bubbling up, nervous, relieved, hysterical. Ricardo, she whispered to her purse, we just threw champagne on the boss's ex-fiancée, by accident, but also a little bit of cosmic purpose. Lucas shook his head, still smiling. You're impossible. I know. And unbelievable. I know that too. He held her hand. Come on, let's get out of here. Where to? His eyes met hers, intense, full of something she couldn't name. Somewhere I can tell you the truth. About the test, about Bianca, about everything. Chloe felt her heart race. About us? Lucas didn't answer with words, but the squeeze of her hand said everything. They left the party behind, and under the Miami stars walking across the deck of a $50 million yacht, Chloe Rice had the feeling her life was about to change forever. The private deck was at the top of the yacht, far from the party, far from the murmurs, far from Bianca and her ruined dress and her melted fury. Lucas guided Chloe there in silence. The Miami stars shone above them like witnesses to something that still had no name. Sit down. He indicated a white leather sofa that probably cost more than Chloe's car. If she had a car. Which she didn't. She sat beside her. The ocean stretched infinite before them. The city lights twinkled in the distance, and the silence between them was heavy with things unsaid. I owe you an explanation, Lucas began. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. He looked at the horizon. About Bianca, about the test, about why I am the way I am. Chloe waited. Lucas took a deep breath. Bianca and I got engaged 4 years ago. I thought it was love. I thought I had found the right person. She was beautiful, intelligent, knew how to behave at social events. Everything a CEO needs in a partner. What happened? A European prince happened. The bitterness in his voice was palpable. Prince Stefan from somewhere I can't even pronounce. He had more money than me, more status, a noble title. And she left. She left, with half my fortune and with my ability to trust anyone. Chloe felt her heart squeeze. The money test started after her? 3 months later, I wanted to prove I was right, that everyone is selfish, that everyone has a price. He finally looked at her, and 47 people proved I was right until you. I just did what was right. Exactly. You did what was right when nobody was watching, when it would have been so easy to do wrong. The air between them became electric. Lucas, let me finish, please. She nodded. When I saw you organize that money, leave the note, pray thanking God for the job, he shook his head. Something broke inside me, something I had convinced myself no longer existed. What? Hope. The word hung suspended between them. You made me believe again, Chloe, not in people, in one person. You. Chloe felt the tears returning, but this time they weren't from sadness. I need to tell you something too. What? She opened her purse, took Ricardo out. This is Ricardo. My squeegee, my best friend. I've been talking to him since my mother died 5 years ago. Lucas looked at the squeegee, at Chloe, back at the squeegee. She was a cleaning lady too. She worked her whole life to support me and my sister. Never complained, never stopped, until her body stopped for her. Chloe? When she died, I inherited her cleaning supplies, including Ricardo, and I started talking to him because it was easier than admitting I was alone. A tear rolled down. I know it's weird. I know it's pathetic. I know Bianca is right to laugh at me. Bianca is right about nothing. Lucas took her hand. You're not pathetic, Chloe. You're the bravest person I know. You lost your mother. You support your sister. You work every day, and you still manage to smile. You still manage to make others smile. I'm just trying to survive. You're doing much more than that. He squeezed her hand. You're reminding me how to live. The world seemed to stop. The stars shone. The ocean murmured, and Lucas Sterling leaned toward Chloe Reyes. The kiss was soft, sweet, full of promise. His lips were warm against hers. One of his hands rose to hold her face. Chloe's heart was beating so hard she was sure he could hear it. When they separated, both were breathless. That, Chloe started, was unexpected, perfect. She laughed, a nervous, relieved, happy laugh. Ricardo, she said, looking at the squeegee in her hand, it happened. We promised we wouldn't fall in love with a billionaire. We lied, Ricardo. Lucas really laughed, a laugh that transformed his face. Are you asking the squeegee's opinion about our kiss? Ricardo is part of the package. If you want to date me, you date Ricardo too. I accept the terms. Chloe smiled, and then, because the universe apparently thought she hadn't embarrassed herself enough that night, she leaned in to kiss him again. But she leaned too far. Her balance left, and Ricardo flew from her hand toward the sea. No, Chloe lunged forward, trying to catch the squeegee. But it was too late. Ricardo passed through the safety railing and disappeared into the darkness of the ocean with a pathetic splash. The silence that followed was absolute. Chloe was leaning over the railing, looking at the black water where her best rubber friend had just sunk. Ricardo. Her voice came out strangled. Ricardo. She made a move to jump. Lucas held her back. Chloe, no, but Ricardo. It's a squeegee. You're going to drown trying to save a squeegee. He's not just a squeegee. He was. The tears came. He was my mother's, Lucas. Understanding passed across his face. Oh, Chloe. I know it's silly. I know it's just an object, but it was all I had of her, the only thing left. Lucas hugged her. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's mine. I'm the one who leaned over. I'm the one who let him fall. They stayed like that for a long moment. Chloe crying silently, Lucas holding her, the ocean keeping Ricardo in its dark depths. I'll buy you another one. Lucas finally said, It's not the same. I know, but we can create new memories with a new Ricardo. Chloe sniffled. Are you suggesting we adopt a squeegee together? I'm suggesting we do anything together. She pulled back to look at him. Lucas Sterling, that's the strangest romantic thing anyone has ever said to me. I'm trying. You're succeeding. He wiped the tears from her face with his thumb. So, Chloe Reyes, do you accept starting a new adventure with me? with new squeegees, new disasters, and probably lots of stumbles along the way. Are you asking me to be your girlfriend using cleaning product metaphors? Apparently yes. Chloe laughed through her tears. Then the answer is yes. They kissed again, this time longer, deeper, full of promise and possibility. The next morning brought a headline, Miami billionaire in romance with ex-cleaning lady, scam or love. The article had photos of the kiss, details about Chloe's life, an anonymous source who knew too much. And Chloe, sitting in her simple apartment with a cup of coffee in her hands, knew exactly who the source was. The war had just escalated, and Ricardo was no longer there to give advice. The journalist showed up at 7 in the morning. Chloe found out in the worst way possible, opening her building's door in pajamas, with hair looking like a bird's nest and eyes still swollen from crying over Ricardo all night. Chloe Reyes, is it true you seduced Lucas Sterling using cleaning techniques? Miss Reyes, how much is he paying you to pretend to be his girlfriend? Chloe, look over here. How did you meet the billionaire? Flashes, microphones, faces eager for scandal. Chloe slammed the door so hard the entire building shook. Okay. She leaned her back against the door, her heart racing. Okay, this is happening. This is really happening. The phone rang. Lucas, did you see? His voice was tense. There's a horde of journalists at my door, so yes, I saw. Don't leave there. Lucas, I can't stay trapped in my apartment forever. Not forever, just until we figure out who leaked. We know who leaked. Silence on the line. Bianca. Bianca, he sighed. I'm going to fix this. How? I don't know yet, but I will. Lucas. Chloe hesitated. Maybe it's better if we take a break until things calm down. What? I'm causing problems for you. Your reputation, your business. Chloe. No. The investors must be freaking out. The headline is everywhere. I'm the ex-cleaning lady who scams billionaires. That's not good for you. I don't care. But I do. I don't want to be the reason for your downfall. You're not. Lucas, please. Her voice faltered. Let me think. That's all. Let me process all of this. Another silence. Longer this time. Okay. Think. But don't give up on us. Not without talking to me first. Okay. Promise? I promise. She hung up, and then she looked at the empty corner of the apartment where Ricardo used to be. I wish you were here, she whispered to nothing. You would know what to do. You always knew. Silence was the only answer. 3 days passed. 3 days of journalists camped at the door, of increasingly creative headlines, of anonymous sources revealing details about Chloe's life that only someone very close could know. Billionaire's ex-cleaning lady talked to cleaning supplies. Scammer or Cinderella? The truth about Chloe Reyes. Exclusive. Chloe Reyes supports sister with Lucas Sterling's money. The last headline made Chloe see red. Maya. They had gone after Maya. The phone rang. It was her sister. Chloe, people are following me to college. What? Journalists. Asking about you. About Lucas. About how we grew up. Chloe's blood ran cold. Maya, I'm sorry. I know you didn't want this, but this is getting intense. Maya's voice was scared. A blonde woman came to talk to me yesterday, said she was your friend, asked a bunch of questions about Mom, about how you started cleaning houses. Blonde? What do you mean blonde? Tall, elegant, looked rich. Bianca, Maya, listen, don't talk to anyone else. Anyone, especially blonde, elegant women. Chloe, what's going on? It's complicated, I'll explain later. Just stay home, don't answer the door for strangers. You're scaring me. I know, I'm sorry. Everything will be okay. She hung up without being sure she believed her own words. Lucas showed up that night. Not through the main elevator, the journalists were there. Through the fire escape, like a thief in his own relationship. This is ridiculous, he said, breathless from climbing 12 floors. I own a real estate empire, and I'm entering buildings through the service stairs. Welcome to my life. He looked at her, really looked. You look terrible. Thank you, that's exactly what every woman wants to hear. That's not what he sighed. You're not sleeping. You're not eating. I know the signs. There have been journalists at my door for 3 days. Sorry if I'm not at my best. Lucas approached. Chloe, come with me. Where to? The penthouse. It's safe there. There's security, bulletproof entrance, and I'll become the scammer who moved into the billionaire's apartment. No, thank you. Then what do you suggest? I suggest we stop this. The words came out louder than she intended. Lucas stepped back as if he'd been slapped. Stop what? This? Lucas, look at me. She gestured at herself. I'm a cleaning lady. You're a billionaire. This was never going to work. It was working. It was working until your ex-fiancé decided to destroy my life. Now my sister is being followed. I can't leave my house, and every detail of my pathetic existence is being exposed for everyone to see. Chloe, you don't understand. The tears came. You were born rich. You were always protected. You don't know what it's like to have your whole life exposed like it's entertainment. You don't know what it's like to be treated like a joke. I know what it's like to be betrayed. I know what it's like to have trust destroyed. But you had money to hide behind. I have nothing, Lucas. Nothing. The silence that followed was deafening. Chloe was crying. Lucas was frozen. And between them was a gap that seemed impossible to cross. Do you want me to leave? His voice was low. Hurt. I want you to understand. I'm trying. It's not enough. Another silence. Okay. Lucas took a step back. Okay, Chloe, if that's what you want. It's not what I want. It's what needs to happen. Is there a difference? She didn't answer. I'm going to fight for this, Chloe. For us. Even if you don't want me to. Lucas? You made me believe again. I'm not giving up that easily. And then he was gone. Chloe stood there alone in the empty apartment with the sound of journalists murmuring downstairs and her heart broken into pieces. 2 hours later, someone knocked on the door. Chloe dragged herself to the peephole, expecting to find another journalist. But it wasn't a journalist. It was a delivery man with a box. Chloe Rise? That's me. Package for you, ma'am. She took the box, closed the door, sat on the couch. Her heart was beating way too fast when she opened it. Inside, wrapped in blue velvet, was a squeegee. But not just any squeegee. A squeegee with a Swarovski crystal handle, sparkling, elegant, absurdly unnecessary, and engraved in the crystal in small, delicate letters, for the most honest person I've ever met. Along with it, a note. This is Richard II. He also thinks you shouldn't give up on us. Chloe held the squeegee against her chest, and for the first time in days, she laughed, a laugh wet with tears, confused, hopeful. Richard II, she whispered, your father was a simple squeegee. You're a designer squeegee, but I think we can make this work. The squeegee didn't respond, but if it could, it probably would have agreed. 1 week. 1 week since Richard II arrived. 1 week since Chloe looked at the crystal squeegee and felt hope for the first time in days. But hope didn't pay bills, and hope didn't make the journalists go away. Richard II, Chloe whispered, holding the new squeegee while looking through the apartment window. Your father would be more optimistic, but you're made of Swarovski crystal. You understand that life is complicated. The journalists were still down there. Fewer than before, but persistent, like elegant cockroaches with microphones. The phone rang. Lucas. Chloe let it go to voicemail. For the third time that day, Lucas's lawyers showed up at 2 in the afternoon. Not one lawyer. 3. All in black suits, all with expressions that looked like they'd been designed by an architect of professional coldness. Miss Reyes, the tallest one, extended his hand. I'm Marcus Webb, legal representative of Sterling Development. I know who you are. Chloe crossed her arms. Did Lucas send you? Mr. Sterling instructed us to manage the situation. Manage it how? The 3 lawyers exchanged glances. We have a proposal. They sat on Chloe's tiny couch, 3 expensive suits squeezed onto a second-hand piece of furniture. The scene would have been comical if it weren't terrifying. The media exposure is affecting Mr. Sterling's business, Webb explained, opening a folder. Investors are nervous. The board is asking questions. I can imagine. We need a temporary solution. What kind of solution? Webb pulled a document from the folder. A confidentiality agreement. Temporary. You publicly distance yourself from Mr. Sterling for a period of 60 days. In exchange, we offer financial compensation and legal protection against media harassment. Chloe looked at the document, looked at Webb, looked at Richard II, who was silently sparkling in the corner of the room. Let me understand, you want to pay me to disappear? It's not that simple. It seems pretty simple to me. You think I'm a problem that can be solved with money. Miss Reyes, does Lucas know about this proposal? Silence. Mr. Sterling. Webb cleared his throat. Mr. Sterling is aware that we are exploring options, but he didn't specifically ask for this. More silence. Chloe laughed. A bitter laugh that didn't suit her. You came on your own, thinking you could buy me off. We're trying to protect our clients' interests. And what I want doesn't matter. What do you want, Miss Reyes? The question caught her off guard. What did she want? She wanted the journalists to go away. She wanted Maya to stop being followed. She wanted her life to go back to normal, even knowing that normal would never be the same again. And she wanted Lucas. She wanted his eyes, the almost smile, the way he held her when she stumbled, the way he defended her when no one else did. But wanting wasn't enough. I want you to leave my apartment, she finally said. Now. Webside. Ms. Reyes, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You came into my home, offered to pay me to disappear, and now you want me to be polite? No. Out. The lawyers stood up in unison, as if they had rehearsed. The offer remains open, Webb said at the door. 60 days of distance, generous compensation. Think about it. I already did. The answer is no. The door closed, and Chloe stood there, trembling with anger, holding Richard II against her chest like it was a life vest. Lucas showed up an hour later, also via the fire escape, also out of breath from climbing 12 floors. The lawyers came here. It wasn't a question. They did. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I believe you. Chloe? He came closer. What did they say? They offered to pay me to disappear for 60 days. Lucas's face contorted. I'm gonna fire all of them. No, you're not. They were doing their job, protecting you. I don't need protection. Yes, you do. Chloe's voice rose without meaning to. Lucas, look at the situation. Your business is suffering. Your reputation is suffering, all because you defended me on that yacht. I'd defend you again. I know. That's why. She took a deep breath. That's why I'm going to accept. Lucas froze. What? Not their offer. Not the money. She came closer, taking his hands, but the idea of taking a break until things settle down. Chloe, no. Lucas, listen, I'm not giving up. I'm trying to protect us. Protect us from what? From Bianca destroying everything before we have a chance to build something. Lucas's eyes were bright, with anger, with fear, with something that looked like desperation. I already lost someone I loved because I let things happen without fighting. You're not letting anything happen. I'm asking. It's the same thing. It's not. Chloe squeezed his hands. Bianca wants to see us destroyed. She wants to see you humiliated. If we continue now the way things are, she's going to succeed. And if we take a break, she won't? If we take a break, she'll think she won. She'll lower her guard. And when she does, Chloe forced a smile. You're a billionaire, Lucas. You didn't get where you are without knowing how to play the game. Lucas was silent for a long moment. How long? I don't know. Long enough. And after? After, we figure it out together. He pulled her into a hug, tight, desperate, as if he were saying goodbye to something precious. This isn't goodbye, he said against her hair. It's a pause. I know. I'm going to find you again. I know. Promise you won't give up. Chloe pulled back enough to look into his eyes. I promise. He kissed her. It was a different kiss from the others. Without urgency, without desperate passion. A kiss of promise. Of see you soon. Of this isn't the end. When they separated, Chloe was crying. Richard II agrees with me, she said, trying to smile. He said you're too handsome to be abandoned. Richard II is a wise squeegee. He learned from his father. Lucas laughed. A wet laugh. Sad. Take care of him for me? Always. One more kiss, on the forehead this time, and then he was gone. Chloe didn't sleep that night. She sat by the window holding Richard II, watching the lights of Miami turn off one by one. He's coming back, she whispered to the squeegee. He promised, and I trust him. Richard II sparkled under the moonlight. You're right, trust is hard, especially for him, especially after everything Bianca did. She sighed. But we're not Bianca, we're us, and we don't give up. The next morning, she packed a small suitcase, grabbed Richard II, and went to her sister's house. Maya greeted her at the door with a tight hug. Are you okay? I will be. What happened? It's a long story. Chloe forced a smile. How about pizza and ice cream while I tell you? At 9 in the morning? Heartbreak days don't have time rules. Maya looked at her for a long moment. I liked him, you know? Lucas, he seemed good for you. He is good for me. Then why are you here? Chloe sighed. Because sometimes loving someone means protecting the relationship. Even when it hurts. Maya didn't say anything. She just took Chloe's suitcase and led her inside. 1 week passed. The journalists disappeared, the headlines faded, The world moved on, as it always does. And then Chloe saw a photo, on the internet, on a gossip site. Lucas and Bianca having dinner together. The caption said, "Billionaire reunites with ex after scandal with cleaning lady." Chloe looked at the photo for a long moment. Lucas looked unhappy. Bianca looked triumphant. And Chloe felt her heart break into 1,000 different pieces. "Richard II," she whispered, the tears falling. "Were we fooled?" The crystal squeegee sparkled silently. No answer. But the pain was answer enough. The photo was a lie. Chloe knew it was a lie. Deep down, she knew. But knowing and feeling were different things. "Richard II," she said, sitting on the guest bed at Maya's house at 2 in the morning. "I know I shouldn't be looking at this. I know. But I can't stop." The gossip site had more photos now. Lucas and Bianca leaving a restaurant. Lucas and Bianca getting into a car. Lucas with an expression that looked carved in stone, while Bianca smiled at the cameras as if she had just won the lottery. "He looks unhappy," Chloe murmured. "Look at his face. He doesn't want to be there." But he was there, and that was what mattered. Maya woke up at 7 and found Chloe in the kitchen, with deep dark circles and 3 empty coffee cups in front of her. "Did you sleep?" "Define sleep." "Chloe?" I know, I'm being pathetic. A functional adult doesn't lose sleep over tabloid photos." She took another sip of coffee. "But it turns out I'm not a functional adult. I'm a promoted cleaning lady who talks to squeegees. The bar is low." Maya sat in front of her. "Do you want me to say everything's gonna be okay?" "You can say it. I just won't believe it." "Then I'll say something else." Maya took her sister's hands. "You're the strongest person I know. You practically raised me alone after Mom got sick. You worked 3 jobs to pay my tuition. You never ever gave up on anything." "I'm thinking about giving up now." "No, you're not. You're scared. That's different." Chloe felt her eyes burn. What if he chose her again, Maya? What if I wasn't enough? Then he's an idiot, and you deserve someone better. But I don't want someone better. I want him. The silence that followed was heavy, and then the doorbell rang. Chloe wasn't expecting visitors, and she definitely wasn't expecting that visitor. Bianca Harrington was at Maya's door as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Spotless white dress, new probably since the previous one had been ruined by champagne. Designer bag. Snake smile. "Chloe, we need to talk." "How did you find out where I was?" "Honey, I have resources." Bianca walked in uninvited, looking around with poorly disguised disdain. "Cozy. Place." "What do you want, Bianca?" "Direct. I like it." She turned around. "I have a proposal." "Not interested. You haven't heard the proposal yet. I don't need to hear it. Anything coming from you is poison." Bianca laughed, a crystal laugh that made Chloe's teeth hurt. "You're funny. I understand why Lucas liked you, for a while. Bianca, $500,000. The sentence fell like a bomb. For you to disappear, for good. Chloe blinked. "What? You heard me. $500,000, more than you'd make in 10 years cleaning houses." Bianca came closer. "You take the money, go back to whatever hole you came from, and forget that Lucas Sterling exists. And if I refuse?" Bianca's smile became something darker. "You have a sister, don't you? Maya. College student. Dreamer." She studied her nails. It would be a shame if the university found out about certain irregularities in her scholarship applications. Chloe's blood went cold. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm offering you a choice, a very generous choice considering the circumstances. Maya didn't do anything wrong. Maybe, maybe not, but investigation processes are long, tiring, stressful." Bianca smiled. "Sometimes suspicion is more damaging than guilt." Chloe felt her anger rise like lava. "You're a monster. I'm a woman who knows what she wants, and I want Lucas, simple as that. He doesn't want you." "Oh, honey." Bianca tilted her head. "You saw the photos. He's coming back to me. It's just a matter of time. Those photos are staged and you know it." "I know that?" Her smile was pure poison. "Prove it." The silence stretched out. Chloe wanted to scream, wanted to lunge forward, wanted to do something. But then Maya appeared in the hallway, and Bianca saw her. "Oh look, the little sister." She waved her fingers. "Remember, honey, your future is in your sister's hands. I hope she makes the right decision." And with that, Bianca left, leaving destruction in her wake. As always. What did she mean? Maya was pale. "What irregularities? I didn't do anything." "I know you didn't. She's bluffing." "But what if she's not? What if she makes something up?" Chloe, I need that scholarship. Without it, I can't. Hey, stop. Chloe held her sister's shoulders. Look at me. Nobody is going to do anything to you. Understand? Nobody. But I won't let them, no matter what I have to do. The tears started streaming down Maya's face. Chloe, maybe you should take the money. No. $500,000. That's a lot of money. We could. No. Chloe's voice was steel. I'm not going to be bought. Not by her. Not by anyone. But Mom also said to never let anyone make us feel smaller than we are. Chloe wiped her sister's tears. Bianca thinks she can threaten us because we're small. Because we don't have money, don't have connections, don't have power. But she's wrong. How do you know? Chloe took a deep breath. Because we have something she'll never have. We have each other. And we have the truth. Maya sniffled. The truth doesn't pay the bills. No, but the truth sleeps well at night. Chloe smiled. And Bianca? I bet she needs 3 kinds of medication to close her eyes. A wet laugh escaped from Maya. You're impossible. I know. It's part of my charm. That night, Chloe made the hardest call of her life. Lucas answered on the second ring. Chloe? His voice was urgent, hopeful. Are you okay? Bianca came to see me. Silence. What? She offered $500,000 for me to disappear. And she threatened Maya. The silence that followed was loaded with something dangerous. She did what? You didn't know? Of course I didn't know. Chloe, I would never. I know. I believe you. The photos, he said, his voice tense. The dinners, I need to explain. You don't have to. Yes, I do. She set everything up, showed up at business meetings, hired photographers, made it look like. Lucas, I know. He stopped. You know? I know you. And I know her. Chloe looked at Richard II, who was sparkling on the nightstand. I just needed to hear it. Chloe, I'm sorry. For all of this. For her. It's not your fault. But I should have predicted it. I knew Bianca. I knew what she was capable of. Nobody predicts everything. The silence stretched out. Softer this time. What do you want to do? Lucas finally asked. I want to fight. Fight how? I don't know yet, but I'm not going to let her win. I'm not going to let her destroy us. I'm not going to let her threaten my sister and get away with it. Chloe, Lucas's voice changed. It became colder, more determined. She wants war? Apparently. Then she'll get war. Chloe felt a shiver down her spine. But not from fear, from hope. What are you thinking? I'm thinking Bianca Harrington made a very big mistake. A pause. She underestimated you and she underestimated me. Lucas, do you trust me? The question hung in the air. Yes, Chloe finally said. I trust you. Then let me handle this. Let me show her that nobody threatens the people I love. The people I love, the words echoed in the silence. Lucas, we'll talk tomorrow. Rest. Take care of Maya and Chloe? Yes? This isn't over. This is just beginning. He hung up, and Chloe stood there holding the phone, her heart beating way too fast. Richard II, she whispered. I think we just declared war. The crystal squeegee sparkled. And somewhere in Miami, Lucas Sterling was making a call to his lawyer. The hunt had begun. The detectives worked fast. 3 days. That's how long it took to dig up the skeletons from Bianca Harrington's closet. And there were many skeletons. Richard II, Chloe whispered, sitting in a discreet cafe in Miami Beach while waiting for Lucas. I think we've entered the script of a suspense movie. Detectives, evidence, conspiracies. Can you believe it? Richard II, discreetly tucked in her bag, couldn't believe anything because he was a squeegee. But if he could, he'd probably be as nervous as Chloe. Lucas arrived at 2 o'clock sharp. He was different. Not the soft Lucas who almost smiled, not the vulnerable Lucas who shared secrets under the stars. This was Lucas Sterling, CEO. Lucas Sterling, business predator. Lucas Sterling, the man you didn't want as an enemy. You look scary, Chloe said when he sat down. Good. That's the point. He placed a folder on the table. What's that? Justice. Chloe opened the folder, and for a moment, forgot how to breathe. Documents, photos, bank records, text conversations, testimonies. Bianca is broke, Lucas explained. The European prince abandoned her 18 months ago. She spent everything she had trying to keep up appearances. I knew she had financial problems, but this isn't financial problems. This is desperation. He pointed to a section. She tried to pull a similar scheme on an Italian businessman last year. He almost sued her, but she fled before he could. Chloe turned the page. More documents. The leaked messages to the press, they all came from her phone. Are you sure? My detectives are sure, and they're the best in the country. Chloe felt a strange mixture of satisfaction and nausea. Lucas, this is a lot. It's enough to destroy her. Destroy her completely. He looked into her eyes. She threatened you, threatened your sister, humiliated you in front of 200 people, tried to separate us. I know, but there is no but, Chloe. People like her don't stop until they're stopped. She closed the folder. And after? What happens after she's stopped? Lucas reached across the table, took her hand. After, we can finally begin. The reunion happened on a Wednesday. Chloe had gone back to work, not at Lucas's penthouse. That would be too complicated for now. At a regular cleaning company, corporate offices, public restrooms, nothing glamorous. But it was work, and honest work was all she knew. Richard II isn't happy with this job, she murmured while scrubbing a toilet. He's used to million-dollar penthouses. Now he's in an office bathroom. It's a drop in status. The generic plastic squeegee she was using, not Richard II, who was safe at home, didn't respond. You're not Richard, she said to it. Or Richard II. You're just a squeegee. But you'll do. Do you always talk to cleaning supplies? Chloe turned around so fast she almost fell into the toilet. Lucas was standing in the doorway of the women's restroom, in a tuxedo, in the middle of a corporate office, at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. What? How? Why are you? She gestured wildly. This is a women's restroom. I know. You're wearing a tuxedo. I know. In the middle of my shift. I know that too. Lucas, what is going on? He came closer and then did something completely unexpected. He knelt. On the floor of some corporate office's women's restroom, with his probably $10,000 tuxedo touching questionable tiles. Chloe, rise. Lucas, get up. I should have fought for us from the start. The floor is dirty. I should have sent Bianca away the second she showed up. Your tuxedo is going to be ruined. I should have protected you better. Chloe stopped protesting. Lucas's eyes were bright, intense, determined. Forgive me, he said, for taking so long. Lucas, forgive me for letting things get to this point. It wasn't your fault. Yes, it was. Part of it was. He took her hands that were still wearing yellow rubber cleaning gloves. I was so focused on proving everyone was bad that I almost lost the best person I've ever met. Tears started streaming down Chloe's face. You're ruining your tuxedo. I don't care about the tuxedo. And the floor is really dirty. I haven't cleaned here yet. Chloe? Yes? Be quiet and let me finish. She laughed. A wet laugh, half sob. Okay. Lucas took a deep breath. I love you. The world stopped. I've loved you since that first day, since you tripped on the carpet and talked to a squeegee and organized $80,000 that weren't yours. Lucas, I love you because you're the most authentic, funniest, bravest person I've ever met. I love you because you make me want to be better. I love you because when you're near, I remember that the world isn't just about money and power and distrust. Chloe was openly crying now. I love you too, she said, her voice breaking. You ridiculous, dramatic billionaire who kneels in public restrooms. Lucas smiled, a real smile, complete, dazzling. And then he stood up, the tuxedo definitely ruined, and kissed her. A kiss different from all the others. A kiss that tasted like new beginnings, like future. Like everything they had almost lost and were finally ready to build. They walked out of the restroom holding hands. 3 office employees were standing in the hallway, with expressions ranging from shock to, "This is way better than a soap opera." Chloe said, waving with the hand still wearing a rubber glove, "Pretend you didn't see anything." One of them raised her phone. "I recorded it. Can I post it?" "No." Lucas laughed. "Let's get out of here before this becomes a headline. Fired from second job for kissing billionaire in corporate bathroom." Chloe shook her head. That would be an interesting way to go down in history. In the car, Lucas handed her an invitation. Thick paper. Gold letters. Elegance that screamed a lot of money involved. Sterling Foundation Charity Gala, she read. Saturday at 8. Formal attire required. Bianca will be there. The air got heavier. You want me to go? I need you to go. Lucas held her hand. It's time to end this, once and for all. What are you planning? Justice. Lucas, do you trust me? The question again. The same question, but this time the answer was easier. I trust you. Then Saturday. He kissed her hand. Saturday we show Bianca and everyone who the real winners of this story are. Chloe looked at the invitation, looked at Lucas, and felt, for the first time in weeks, that maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. The dress was emerald green. Not blue this time. Green. Deep. Dramatic. The kind of dress that said, "I didn't come to make friends, I came to win." "Richard II," Chloe whispered while looking at herself in the hotel room mirror. "We're about to make history. Are you ready?" Richard II sparkled inside the designer clutch Lucas had provided, discreet but present, as it always should be. The Sterling Foundation Charity Gala was the event of the year in Miami. 400 guests, the elite of the elite. More money gathered in one room than most people would see in 10 lifetimes, and Bianca Harrington would be there, confident, smiling, completely unaware of the storm that was coming. Lucas was waiting at the entrance of the ballroom. In a tuxedo. Obviously. A new one, since the previous one had been sacrificed in the corporate restroom. When he saw Chloe, he stopped breathing for a second. "You look..." "If you say stunning, I'm going to get embarrassed and probably trip on something." "You look stunning." Chloe tripped on her own shoe. Lucas caught her, as he always did. "I warned you," she murmured. "I know." He smiled, but it was worth it. They entered together, and 400 pairs of eyes turned toward them. Murmurs, whispers, the kind of attention that would make any normal person want to hide under the buffet table. But Chloe wasn't just anyone. Chloe was the woman who had passed an honesty test, who had faced Bianca Harrington, who had been publicly humiliated and gotten back up. Chloe was a warrior disguised as a cleaning lady, and tonight she was going to prove it. Bianca saw them first. Her smile faltered for a second, just 1 second before she composed herself. "Lucas, Chloe." She approached as if she were the event's hostess. "What a surprise to see you two together." "Surprise? Why?" Chloe smiled. "The invitation was for couples. So you're a couple then? Officially?" "Officially." Bianca's eyes narrowed. "Interesting. Considering that 2 weeks ago you were hiding at your sister's house like a fugitive. People change plans. People give up when they face reality. Or people fight." Chloe tilted her head. "It depends on the type of person." The tension between them was almost visible. "Ladies," Lucas interrupted, his voice soft but with a thread of steel. "Right, we can continue this conversation later. I have an announcement to make." Bianca smiled, regaining her composure. "Of course, dear. I'm looking forward to hearing it." She had no idea how afraid she should be. The stage was set up in the center of the ballroom. Giant screens, microphones, all the equipment necessary for a high-level corporate presentation. Lucas stepped up. The 400 guests fell silent. "Good evening, everyone." His voice echoed through the room. "Thank you for being here, supporting the Sterling Foundation." Polite applause. "Before we talk about charity, I'd like to share something." He paused. "Something personal." Curious murmurs. "Some of you remember the event on the yacht a few weeks ago. Some of you witnessed an unpleasant scene." More murmurs. Eyes turned toward Chloe. "A woman was publicly humiliated, called a cleaning lady who does therapy with cleaning supplies, ridiculed in front of 200 people." Bianca was smiling, satisfied, thinking Lucas was reliving her victory. "That woman," Lucas continued, "is the most honest person I've ever met." Bianca's smile started to waver. "But today, I'm not here to talk about Chloe Rise." Lucas looked directly at Bianca. "I'm here to talk about who really deserves to be exposed." The screens lit up, and all broke loose. The first images were text messages, conversations between Bianca and a tabloid journalist, negotiating prices for information, details about Chloe's life, leaked photos. Bianca Harrington, Lucas narrated, his voice cold as ice, was the anonymous source who leaked information to the press. Gasps in the room. But that's not all. The screens changed. Bank records, lawsuit documents, photos of Bianca with another man, the Italian businessman she had tried to defraud. 18 months ago, she tried to pull a similar scheme in Italy. Mr. Giovanni Marchetti almost sued her for fraud. Bianca was pale now. "No," she started. 3 weeks ago, Lucas continued, merciless, she offered $500,000 for Chloe Rise to disappear, and she threatened to destroy Chloe's sister's college career if she didn't accept. More gasps. "That's blackmail, and it's a crime." Bianca looked around, searching for an exit, and found police officers, 2 of them, standing discreetly near the main doors. "The authorities have been notified," Lucas said. All evidence has been submitted and Bianca Harrington, he paused dramatically, is officially finished. The chaos that followed was impressive. Bianca tried to run. She couldn't. The police officers reached her before she got to the exit. And for a second, just 1 second, before the handcuffs closed, Chloe saw something on her face. Not the elegant snake, not the calculating manipulator. Just a 32-year-old woman, alone, who had bet everything on a life of appearances and lost. A woman who maybe, at some distant point, had just been a girl afraid of not being enough. The moment passed. The mask returned. "You can't do this," Bianca was screaming, being led away. "Lucas, you'll regret this. All of you will regret this." Nobody believed her. Nobody cared. 400 people watched in silence as Miami's former society queen was taken away in handcuffs to a police car. In the middle of the ballroom, Chloe stood still. "Richard II," she whispered to her purse, "we're watching history being made. A villain being arrested at a charity event. It's like a soap opera, only real." Lucas came down from the stage and walked to her. "Are you okay?" She had no words. Did that really happen? It happened. She was arrested. For real. For real. Chloe looked at him. "You planned all of this. With help." He smiled. "You gave me the courage to do the right thing." The murmurs around them were growing. People wanting to talk to Lucas, to Chloe, wanting to know more. But Lucas had another plan. "Before everyone interrupts us," he said, grabbing the microphone again, "I have one more announcement." Chloe frowned. "What announcement?" Lucas turned to her and knelt, for the second time in a week. But this time it wasn't in a public restroom. It was in the center of a gala ballroom in front of 400 people from Miami's elite. "Lucas," Chloe whispered, "what are you doing?" He pulled a small box from his pocket. The entire room held its breath. "Chloe Maria Reyes." His voice echoed through the speakers. "Will you marry me?" The box opened. The ring sparkled, and Chloe laughed, a nervous laugh. Emotional, this can't be happening laugh. "You're proposing at the same event where you had your ex arrested?" "Yes." "In front of 400 people?" "Yes." "With a ring that probably costs more than my entire life?" "Probably." She looked at him, at the man who had started as her boss, who had become her friend, who had turned into her love. The man who defended her, who caught her when she stumbled, who saw something in her that no one else saw. "Yes," she said. The room exploded in applause. Lucas put the ring on her finger and kissed her, in front of 400 people, in front of the cameras, in front of the entire world. And Chloe thought, as she was lifted in the arms of the man she loved, Richard would be so proud. 6 months later, the yacht was unrecognizable. The same $50 million yacht, where Chloe had been humiliated. The same deck, where she had cried in Lucas's arms. The same place where her life had changed forever. Now it was covered in white flowers and golden lights. Rose arches framed the central aisle. Elegant chairs awaited the guests. And at the improvised altar, Richard II occupied the place of honor on a blue velvet cushion with a little sign that said, "Best man." "You're kidding?" Maya said, looking at the crystal squeegee. "The squeegee is going to be the best man?" "He's family," Chloe answered, adjusting her veil in the cabin mirror. "And he's the one who gave me courage in all the difficult moments. He was a rubber squeegee. He was my friend, and now Richard II continues the legacy." Maya shook her head, but she was smiling. "You're completely crazy." "I know. Lucas knows. Everyone knows." Chloe turned around. "How do I look?" Maya was silent for a moment. The wedding dress was simple, elegant, nothing showy. Chloe had insisted, pure white, falling in soft layers to the floor. No excessive crystals, no endless train. Just beautiful. "You look perfect," Maya said, her voice choked up. "Mom would be so proud." Chloe felt the tears coming. "Don't cry. If you cry, I cry. If I cry, the makeup goes away. And I didn't pay for 3 hours of makeup artist to cry it all off." "You didn't pay. Lucas paid." "Technically, yes, but emotionally, it was my investment." They laughed together. The ceremony began at sunset. Miami stretched out in the background, golden and vibrant. The ocean reflected shades of orange and pink. And 150 guests stood when Chloe appeared at the top of the stairs. Lucas was at the altar, in a tuxedo, obviously. But this wasn't just any tuxedo. It was the tuxedo. The wedding tuxedo. The tuxedo he would wear in the photo that would hang on their wall for the rest of their lives. And when he saw Chloe, His face did that thing. That almost smile had transformed into a complete smile over the months. Chloe started to descend, 1 step, 2, 3. And on the 4th, she tripped. Because of course she tripped. The veil got tangled in her shoe. Her body went forward, her arms spun. And for a second, just 1 second, it looked like the bride was going to roll down the stairs in front of all the guests. But Lucas was already there. He had run from the altar, crossed the aisle, arrived in time. He caught her before she fell, as he had promised to do forever. "I was ready," he said, smiling. "You ran from the altar. I always run when you need me. The guests are watching. Let them watch." Soft laughter in the audience. Henderson, seated in the first row, leaned toward his wife. "I told you they were perfect for each other." The vows were memorable. Lucas went first. "Chloe?" He held her hands at the altar, with Richard II sparkling beside them. "When I met you, you tripped on a carpet, talked to a squeegee, and soaked my $3,000 shoes." Laughter. "And I thought, this woman is a complete disaster." More laughter. "But then you did something nobody had done in 10 years. You were honest when no one was watching. You proved that good people still exist in the world. You proved to me that I was wrong about everything." His voice grew softer. "Chloe, you saved me. Not from criminals or villains. You saved me from myself. From bitterness, from distrust, from the fear of never believing in anyone again." Tears were streaming down Chloe's face. "I promised to spend the rest of my life catching you when you stumble, making you laugh when you're sad, and loving you even when you talk to inanimate objects at 3 in the morning." "Thank you," she whispered. "Now it's your turn." Chloe took a deep breath. "Lucas?" She smiled through the tears. "I had a speech prepared. Very beautiful, very emotional, with metaphors about the sea and the sunset and poetic things." Pause. "But I'm me, so I'm going to improvise." Nervous laughter. "When I started working for you, I thought it was just another job. Clean a rich guy's penthouse. Don't put down roots. Don't get attached. Leave before I get hurt." "And then?" Lucas asked. "And then you smiled. Once. Just once. And I thought, wow, this man has the most beautiful smile I've ever seen. Too bad he almost never uses it." More laughter. "I promise, Lucas Alexander Sterling, to spend the rest of my life making you smile. Full smiles. None of those almost smiles. I want the whole smiles." "Deal. And I promise not to talk so much to inanimate objects." She paused. "But I don't promise to stop completely, because Richard II is part of the package, and the package is take it or leave it." Lucas looked at the crystal squeegee at the altar. "I'll take the complete package." "Good, because there are no returns." The officiant cleared his throat. "I think that means you're married?" "Yes," Maya shouted from the first row. Applause exploded, and Lucas kissed his wife for the first time. The party lasted until midnight. Food, dancing, speeches that ranged from touching to embarrassing. The investors Chloe had won over at that first dinner all came. Henderson gave a toast about the woman who compared investing to baking a cake and was completely right. And in a discreet corner, on a television that someone had accidentally left on, a news report was playing. Bianca Harrington was sentenced today to 3 years in prison for fraud, blackmail, and defamation. The former Miami socialite. Chloe caught a glimpse as she passed by. Bianca in an orange uniform being led to a cell. Alone. Defeated. A pang of something, not satisfaction, maybe pity, passed through Chloe's heart. But then Lucas appeared beside her. "Hey, you okay?" "I am." She turned to him. "I was just thinking." "About what?" "About how everything changed. A year ago, I was a cleaning lady who talked to a squeegee. Now I'm my wife." The words still seemed surreal. "Your wife," she repeated, "who still talks to a squeegee, except now it's a Swarovski crystal squeegee." Lucas laughed. "Upgrade. The biggest upgrade of my life." He pulled her to the dance floor. The guests left gradually. The music got slower, the lights softer, until only the two of them remained, dancing under Miami's stars with the ocean whispering in the background. "Lucas?" "Yes?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me." She rested her head on his shoulder. "When I was invisible to everyone, you saw me." He kissed her forehead. "You were never invisible, Chloe. I was just blind." Later that night, when everyone had left, Chloe sat on the deck with Richard II in her hand. The yacht was quiet now. Miami's lights glittered in the distance, and the ocean stretched out endlessly, full of possibilities. "Richard II," she whispered. We did it. The crystal squeegee sparkled under the moonlight. I know you're not the original Richard. I know he's somewhere at the bottom of the sea, probably making friends with the fish. She smiled. But you're just as good. Different, but good. Lucas appeared behind her, talking to the squeegee again, telling him the news. She turned around. He needed to know that now he's officially part of the Sterling family. He's been part of the Sterling family since you said yes. Technically, he said yes first. I consulted him before accepting the proposal. Lucas sat down beside her. And what did he say? He said you were acceptable, 7 out of 10, with potential for improvement. Only 7? He's demanding. They sat in silence for a moment, looking at the sea, breathing the salty air, feeling the immensity of the future stretching ahead. Chloe? Yes? I love you. I know, she smiled. I love you too, the ridiculously expensive yacht, the absurd penthouse, and all your honesty tests that you promised to stop doing. I stopped. I know, but if you start again, Richard II will know, and he'll tell me. Lucas laughed, a complete laugh. Real. The kind of laugh he rarely gave before meeting her. You're impossible. I am, but now I'm your impossible. Forever. He kissed her. And while Miami's stars shone above them, while the ocean sang its eternal song, while Richard II kept his knowing silence on his velvet cushion. Chloe Reyes Sterling, former cleaning lady, squeegee conversationalist, professional stumbler, and now billionaire's wife, knew with absolute certainty that she had finally found her place in the world, beside someone who saw her, who loved her, who caught her when she fell. Forever. The end. And so, the cleaning lady who talked to a glass squeegee won the heart of the billionaire who had given up on believing in love. Chloe proved that honesty, humility, and a pure heart are worth more than any fortune. And Lucas learned that the real treasure wasn't in his millions, it was in a woman who organized money that wasn't hers, and thanked God for an honest job. As for Richard II, well, he continues sparkling in the Miami penthouse, guarding the secrets of the most unlikely and most passionate couple in the city. And you, what did you think of Chloe and Lucas's story?
Join the conversation. Your comments and engagement are part of the healing process. Let us know your thoughts below. If this journey of resilience and turning pain into power resonated with your heart, please support Healing Stories. Subscribe. Help us build a sanctuary of strength by subscribing to the channel. Share the hope. Give this video a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this message of recovery and justice. Your support allows us to continue sharing powerful narratives of overcoming trauma and finding peace. Subscribe to Healing Stories and be part of the change.